What's up? What's up?
What's happening? What's going on?
How's everybody doing?
Guess they're doing good out there, man. They're doing fine.
I guess so. You know, okay. If you're alive, you should be doing very well.
Got some music happening.
Let's see if we can. This is what we should have been doing, bro.
While we're doing our intro.
That's right. See, we trying to step it up around here, man.
Step up the game, bro.
Trying to step it up.
You got producers, man, guests, all kind of stuff.
Trying to get the right volume. We'll see how that translates. But thank you for joining us on this wonderful Tuesday evening. We are trying to step up the game here, and look at this, bro. We got some new information, man. Got some new information.
Anybody wins that Mega Millions, man, contribute a little bit.
Please.
Tax write-off.
Take us all out of our misery. Especially from Sunday. But anyway.
Fun day? You talking about fun day?
Oh my gosh. We'll talk a little bit about that. But hey, listen, thank you for joining us. We are local musicians.
XP.
Man, see, delay it again.
You caught me off guard,
every
bro.
Week, bro.
I didn't know you was gonna do it.
Every week, bro.
I was lulled to sleep, bro. What you were saying, man, you know. Sorry.
See, that's that lag. That's that lag.
Give me another chance.
Lag,
give me another chance.
Man.
One more chance. I'm
lag.
Give me a chance, bro. Give me a chance.
All right, I'll give you another one.
Okay.
All right, everybody. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the podcast. We are local musicians.
XP.
All right, that's better. That's on time.
All right,
see?
okay.
It's on time, man.
Didn't know, man. I didn't know before.
You out of school now, man. You can get back to normal, man. You ain't got to think about these little rugrats, man, trying to teach them up, coach them up and all that, man. You back to normal, bro.
I'm back,
so,
man. I'm back.
But listen, thank you for joining us on this Tuesday. We are going to do another episode of Chop It Up Tuesday here from the beautiful city of Atlanta. I live in Stone Mountain, and my partner here in crime lives in Riverdale. So if you know anything about the Atlanta area, we're kind of on different sides of the fence, so to speak. Yeah. But 285 gets us to each destination.
Yep.
You know, right. So for those of you that know the Atlanta area, that's kind of where we're coming from. And we really want to thank you guys for all of your support. If you are on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel. Set your notification bell to know when we do go live. If you are on, what's the other? What else are we on, man? If you're on
Twitch, Instagram.
If you're on Twitch, Instagram,
Spotify,
Facebook, Spotify. We are soon to be on multiple podcast platforms. We are working on that as we speak, where we're going to have a lot more diversity in terms of where we are heard and coming from. So stay tuned for that. If you would like to support the podcast or support the stream, you can send a donation to Cash App, Venmo, or PayPal. Search CB Drum 2 on any of those apps. So if you would like to send a donation to help us out, right now we're not really, in the money game, so to speak. We're trying to work toward that hopefully at some point, but we do have some overhead that we have to cover. So if you would like to help us out with such things, you can send a donation to any of those platforms, and that will be posted and pinned in the comments if you need to see where you can do that. So with all of that being said, we have a very special guest tonight that we're going to bring in momentarily. We're going to kind of just do some light housekeeping here first and just talk a little bit about what's been going on with us the last couple. Actually, let's do this first. We got some stuff to promote. Next week will be the very first on the road live version of Local Musicians
XP.
You dragging a little bit there, bro. Dragging. It was close. It was good. It was good. But we will be broadcasting live from the Red Light Cafe in Midtown Atlanta for our brother Robert Boone's birthday celebration. How old is this cat gonna be, man?
Is he now 30?
Oh, come on, he's older than that, bro.
He's got to be 34, maybe.
They're not young anymore. Boone, you in the chat? Cough it up. What's your how old? How old? We need to know, because we know you're not young no more. I know that much. But anyway, we will be live at the Red starting at what time is this? What time is the hit, man?
9. That's a good question.
Is it 8 or 9? Maybe our trusty producer can look that up on Robert's Facebook page. I believe it's 8 or 9.
Yeah, it's like 8:30, man. Let's do it somewhere in between.
Yeah, but he'll find that out and we will post that. But we will be live next week from the Red Light Cafe over the top of
Don't tell them where our little niche is, bro. Don't tell us where.
But we want people, man. It's gonna be a party. We got
a little velvet rope across there, bro. You can't get in without the rope, man.
Who's gonna be the bouncer though? That's what we got to figure out, man.
Love
that. It ain't gonna be Podhorser. I tell you that.
Pod.
They just
all they gotta do is they love the Knicks, and he'll let them in, bro.
Like a leaf,
right? Like
we need Brunson. Isn't the producer supposed to foot the? Man, I don't. Is a producer? I don't think the producer
spoken like an accountant, bro. Spoken like an accountant, bro.
Exactly. Yeah, so maybe we had to get a little security, man, because there'd be so many people trying to get in and want to sit in and all that kind of stuff, man. So we might be in need of security. So if we gotta appoint somebody as head of security, So we will see what happens, but that will be next week so it'll be same time. Well, actually, it might be a little bit earlier. We're still working on that start time for the Red Light next Tuesday. But we will be live from that
location
party. Yeah, location party. It's a party though, right? That's what it is.
Yeah.
So, and then the 21st of June, we are going to be at the Distillery of Modern Art in Chamblee, Tucker. And this will be a trio show with myself, Mr. Jackson, and Mr. Craig Shaw. We will have some select students sitting in with us throughout the evening, and they will get our firsthand critique as to some things maybe that they need to kind of work on. This is something that we are really trying to build toward, and that want to is to get into some real diehard mentorship with young musicians away from the academics, right? We're all dealing with academics, and Tyrone teaches at Kennesaw. I have a private studio that I teach, and that's different. This is going to be something where it's going to be firsthand in a live situation, playing with real musicians, real professionals, and you get to play with us, and you get, some I wish I would have had something like this.
Sure.
You get some firsthand just constructive critique on what we feel like you need to work on and where you are, and hopefully that will be very inspiring to that individual, man. What do you think about that?
Well, like you said, I wish I had something like that growing up, that environment, because I think kids and students want to really know where they really are in this music, and we give so many pats on the back, and then there's the other side where people just beat these kids down too. So we're not trying to be either of the polars of this, man. We gotta be able to give them the right kind of information, but in a kind way, in a way that they could understand it. That's going to increase their language, their vocabulary, and just knowing about things. You can't know everything from a book. You can't know everything from your lessons. You have to get out of that environment and get around people in real time and see what you could have done in a situation, because you can't really explain anything until it's happening. Like, how do you explain to a person what lobster tastes like and they never had lobster before?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can't do that. So how can you tell them, hey, in a trio situation, there might be a singer that comes up. We don't start the tune right at the top. You have to give us some type of introduction. Well, what do I give? Well, you got a lot of things you could give. It depends on what the situation is. You can do a generic thing. You could do the last 4 measures, but it might not work in the last 8 measures because of the tune. What should you give if you start on a 2 chord? All those kind of things. Like, will the 1 chord and the 5 chord work if it starts on a 2? Like, what's the song? Our Love Is Here to Stay. That's a jazz standard, but doesn't start on the 1 chord. It starts on the 2. So you can't give a traditional introduction to that, and that's something that you don't get a chance to teach until you get on the stage and that kind of stuff happens.
Right.
We've all been
And
there.
yeah, right. We've all been there. And as I'm even thinking about our guests coming on, we can have guest artists sit in that are masters of different styles. And because for us, and what we feel like is important is to be well-rounded, right? Not a jack of all trades, but well-rounded to a point to where you can make a living playing X, Y, and Z, X, Y, or Z, I should say. Because that really is a great way to sustain a career and to keep things interesting, fresh. It keeps yourself from sort of getting stagnant,
And like our guest would say, know when to step away, because we're not saying that you need to have ultra confidence in playing any style, because that's not possible. Sometimes you got to say, hey, this is not my thing right here. So, but I know somebody who could. That's time to recommend somebody.
Yeah, nobody can do everything.
No.
But there should be some genres that you should be able to cross. So we'll cross that bridge a little bit more when we come to it. But that's going to be at the Distillery of Modern Art in Chamblee, June 21st. Showtime is 7:00 p.m., 7 to 10. Going back to next week at the Red Light, 8:00 start time. So that's an 8 p.m. Eastern start. And Red Light, I believe that they go live also on maybe YouTube or Twitch or something like that. So if you can't make the event, you can check it out. You can check it out there. So, man, normally we talk about some gigs and what we've been doing, but I don't even want to talk about that.
No, you got it.
We will at some point discuss what I would say has to be, if I had to give it a rating,
4 thumbs down. You had to tell me you had my boy on there from Dave Chappelle, huh? Rick James. I wish I had
Listen, man. Tyra, let's just say we played one of the worst gigs ever on Sunday. I'm not even pulling any punches, man. That it was so bad. I mean,
it made you go to bed early, bro. This gig was so bad. It put your jammies on, bro.
Man,
Oh,
I
man.
ate 5 Philly cheesesteaks trying to drown my sorrows.
Rosemary
And
garlic fries.
I ate the whole thing, man. I never do
That's
that.
not like you at
I
all, bro.
I ate the whole thing, man, and then tried to make myself a shake after that to try to just. I was in the blues, man. Just the.
You in rare form, bro.
I mean, and there's something, man. We will talk, and it, man. That's one actually that I was thinking about as we grow. I want to do some animated
I've never seen anybody
some stuff.
pack up their
We're
drums.
gonna on that one. We're gonna do we're gonna do an animated and have that as a skit, man. So let's see, real quick. Rich, the gig, Sunday's gig is at the Red Light Cafe,
No,
dude.
he said where was past tense Sunday's.
Oh,
We shouldn't
I'm
say
thinking.
that.
I'm in a nah, man. I mean, nah, man. Go ahead and tell him it was at the.
I'm not. No, we're not gonna tell him, bro. We're not gonna tell him.
Why?
No,
right.
let's let some time pass before we do that.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Hell
All right.
gigs. Oh, that's a show.
Man.
That's a show.
with this guest that is on that we're about to bring on now. All right.
Oh yeah.
Let's do this. So our next guest hails from Ball Ground, Georgia, bro. I had no idea where bro. I was playing a gig with Michelle Malone. She had a festival gig up in the Blue Ridge Mountains. Beautiful, just beautiful area of Georgia, Blue Ridge Mountains.
Mm-hmm.
And so from my house, I take 75 to 575, right? And I'm heading up there. You know, it's a nice little drive, man. And all of a sudden, I see Ball Ground Incorporated. I'm like,
is this
bro?
where
And it was far.
Yeah.
It was far. I was like, I know I'm not about to hit this cat's territory. And lo and behold, man, I pass Ball Ground, Georgia, and I'm like, holy mackerel! This cat drives into Metro Atlanta to play from here. I had a whole new respect, dude. I was like, damn.
Dude, we used to have a church gig on a Sunday morning. We had to be there early for a rehearsal. That cat would be there before I would. I'm like, how is he doing this?
Man, dude. But listen, I get an opportunity to play with this young man every week in the Mike Veal Band on Wednesdays at the Tin Roof Cantina. You had some prior history with him before.
Yeah.
Before, you know, we kind of knew each other or whatever, but we never really played together. But we've been playing together every week. We actually have been roommates on several occasions.
Uh-oh.
So we have really got to know each other a little bit too well, man. Not like that, bro. Get your mind out the gutter.
Is he a food snob? You're the food snob in the room.
No. This cat right here, man.
Really?
Knows a lot about the food game, bro. And he's going to talk a little bit about that. He's actually part of my inspiration for getting back on my exercise and, you know, losing. I'm down about 10 pounds right now. I've been on my walks and all that good stuff, man. And this cat has been an inspiration for me in that way. And I always try to return the favor. You know what I'm saying, man? When somebody gives me some inspiration, I try to give him some inspiration, man. So this stream is sponsored by Reese's Peanut Butter Cups, bro.
Wow. 5.
And yeah, this is the 5, you know, the little 5-pack, man. The little 5-pack, man. I bless my man because he was off of these for a while. And when we went down to Key West to play, I made sure that the freezer was stocked full.
Wow.
the Reese's peanut butter
These
cups
creamy delights. It's very creamy.
as a gift. Because like I said, man, I try to repay my friend, man. When my friends do something good for me, I try to do something good for them, man. So I'm not, so that this stream is sponsored by Reese's Peanut. What's it? Oh, remember the jingle? Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. You remember that, man? Back in the day?
Sounds about right, yeah.
So good. You say something like,
oh, yeah,
like
yeah.
That. Yeah, see? Got that nostalgia for you. But listen, without further ado, we are going to bring in our brother from another, Mr. Cris Blackwell. There he is in the flesh.
Yes,
gentlemen.
sir.
In the flesh.
Well,
Ball grounds
man.
greatest. Ball grounds greatest.
Well, ball grounds only. Oh man, let me see if I can get my ugly mug in here. Man,
why is he doing this to you, bro?
The audacity. Man, listen, hell gigs. That sounds like my career so far.
Oh,
that's been, as a matter of fact, that might, I've often joked that I was going to say business cards, Cris Blackwell, almost. But now I think that's just going to be Cris Blackwell hell gigs.
Dude,
I was just thinking, fellas. First of all, it has been my pleasure to know and play music with both of you. Thank you all for having me here. And I have indeed traveled with both of you on separate occasions. I don't think the three of us have ever played together.
No.
Other than, well, you said
something might be brewing though.
Hey, man.
Something might be brewing.
I've got one of my favorite stories of all time right out of the gate. Me and Tyrone in New York City.
Oh, yes.
So, man, we were up there. We were playing with somebody. And, it's not nothing bad. We were playing with Jennifer Holliday.
Good gig.
So, this is nothing incriminating against her. But there's a spot up there. It's called
Studio 54 Below.
54 Below. It's in the bottom of the old Studio 54. It's like a cabaret type of club or something where all the Broadway people hang out. She had that. She was in Dreamgirls, so she had everybody. That was a perfect place for her to be playing. So we were playing like 6 nights or something in a row. It was like, man, they had us put up in this nice hotel. 3rd or 4th day, man, everybody had been kind of hanging close to the hotel, eating at the hotel, not wandering too far off base. Go to the gig, come back, and finally, man, Tyrone was like, "Yo, man, we're in New York. Let's see what's up." Like, neither one of us knew where we were at. So I was like, "Tomorrow's it, man. Tomorrow is the day. Meet me here at 11 o'clock. We're gonna do it." So we meet up, and I was like, "Man, everybody talks about the Chinese food. Chinese food, New York is the best." I said, "Let's find some Chinese." So we do. And we find it, and we go, and we're sitting in the restaurant, and it's just me and Tyrone, we're sitting there, it's a tiny little table. We're sitting there, man, we're getting our food, and we're like, "Man, this is not," and we're like, "Dude, so after this, what do you want to do?" And he's like, "Well, man, it would be nice. Let's like see some stuff. I just don't know where anything's at." I said, "I don't know where anything's at." And I was like, some ladies were sitting at the table next to us, and
like right next to us.
Right next to us. And she's like, "You gentlemen, what is it exactly you would like to see?" And we're like, "Well, we just don't know where's Carnegie Hall?" And she's like, "Right there." And I said, "Well, how about Central Park?" And she said, "You're in it." It's like, how about Jazz at Lincoln Center? And she says, "Right over." I mean, dude, we were right in the middle of it. Like walked out of our hotel. We were right in the middle of Midtown Manhattan. I had no idea,
Had no idea.
But go to Jazz at Lincoln, just to show you what Tyrone, like, go to Jazz at Lincoln Center, people walking up, Tyrone Jackson. People knowing who this guy. I was like, "Damn, who am I with?" So widely known and respected, this man.
Thank you, bro.
Of course.
I got 2-3 people playing it somewhere, man. You never know,
Yeah, man. And
keep him on the payroll, man. You got to keep him on the payroll.
That's it, man.
Burroughs, I don't even know if I can tell the stories I've got on you, man.
Dude.
I don't even know if I can tell. Other than, you go down to Key West, Florida, and talk about your extremes, New York to Key West. Man, the food, you're so close to Cuba there.
Yeah.
The food is like unbelievable. And it's the only reason to go. And so, man, I go down there and, I'm in these different phases I get in when I'm really trying to diet and do good and stay, So I go down there, man. The first time we go down, I tell Burroughs, I was like, man, I'm taking you around. I'm showing you around all the food, Cuban sandwich, the fried fish, ice cream, this. We do it up, Burroughs. Oh, you're killing me, man. I can't be living like this. Oh, man, I can't.
Every day, man. Every day.
So this joker, man. The next time we go back down there, a few months later, and I was on the straight and narrow with the food, and I'm like, I'm declaring it, and that we share a band house down there. Everyone, and I'm like, man, I'm putting in 5 miles every day. I'm eating clean. I'm trying to live. I'll be dang. Like second day in, Burroughs was like, hey man, you know how he does.
Yes.
Hey bro, hey man, we got any ice? We got anybody look in the freezer? We got any ice? And I go and open the freezer, being the friend that I am. I'm gonna, just Reese's cups start falling out. I mean, it was like the Fort Knox of, trying to derail me on purpose to lessen his guilt.
That's him.
Look at this, man.
That's him.
Dude.
Man, let me start off by saying when I met you, it was at that rehearsal. It was the first time I ever met you. And I was playing keyboard too.
Yes.
So she had Jennifer had MD Carlos Simon, really good piano player.
Okay. All right.
And
I remember Carlos.
Composer.
Yeah.
He was the MD. And I've known Carlos for a long time. He was growing up with a friend of mine who was like a nephew to me, right? Okay. So I've been watching Carlos, his amazing career, went to Tri-City School, stuff like that. So, so fast forward, he gets me on the gig. Joel Powell was on bass, Terrell Sass was on drums, and I think Mace Hibbert was playing sax. And then I see either Mace or Melvin. No, it was Mike Burton.
Mike Burton,
right.
Yeah.
So, then I see Chris. I introduced myself. Chris got the accent, man. Hey, man, how you doing? And stuff like that. And I'm like, this cat is on this gig. It's like a country guy, right?
Are we playing bluegrass?
Yeah. I was like, what is Jennifer getting into? Well, Jennifer gives us her books, puts food out there, gives Carlos a stipend for whatever, and she leaves. 8-hour rehearsal. She's not even there. So, man, we going over it. She called this tune, bro. And it was like, I'm trying to think of this chick's name. Barbara Streisand did a version of Love Dance. It was so intense.
Yeah.
I could not do heads or tail of it, right? Yeah. And so Cris Blackwell came to the rescue, pulled out this chart. It must have been about 11 pages, bro. And so,
man,
he went in. This cat went and changed the stuff, made it accurate, wrote it out, transposed it, everything. Oh. I was like, bro, you saved my butt. Then I heard him playing. I was like, man, who is this cat? And he went to the next tune, played perfectly what was supposed to be on that tune. Then went to a funk tune. He's playing a funk stuff. I was like, man, who is this cat? And we get to the jazz stuff. He takes a solo and is killing. I was like, bro, you are incredible.
Oh, man.
And so then the next day, Jennifer comes in and changes everything.
Changes everything. No, man, changes everything.
But I was so excited because like the group was killing. It was sounding good, man. Yep. And she had a really good band. But that's my first. I got his number right away. I was like, man,
oh man,
you are killing it, bro. So well versed in so many styles. Great sound, great attitude, and does his homework. Shows up on time. And man, doesn't give up at all. He's friendly. He wants to hang with you and stuff like that. And he's all about the music, man. So he's a great guitarist, man. So one of the most well-rounded musicians I know.
Oh man,
have you ever had an introduction like this, man?
Man, I can't even take it, especially from someone like that, man. I can't even. Dude, Tyrone comes walking in. I can't even. I tell him all the time. I said, "Why you got to come in here? I was having a good time." Now I got the heat on me.
No.
Listen, so let's bring this comment because our good friend John Lamatina, who came out to Tin Roof several weeks ago, but he says my wife and I sat right next to Chris at Tin Roof a while back. You are a great musician. You play China Grove note for note, man. So this kid,
wow.
he plays he learns his stuff, man. That's
Well, you know what's funny about something like, and thank you, John, for that, is like, I don't know if I know that song note for note or not, but it's like, think about playing with a band like the one Chris and I are in with Mike, the classic rock. I mean, it's like all requests basically. And you find out, man, songs that are just floating around back there somewhere.
Floating around, man.
And, you know, somewhere, and it might be the second before it happens, but something that comes from somewhere, and you're like, oh, man, all that listening to the radio when you were a kid or whatever, you file it away. It comes out, you know, when it's supposed to. But hopefully.
So let's do this.
Yeah.
Let's take it back to the beginning, man, because
okay.
There's a lot of stuff that I want to know that I don't know.
You'll be sorry.
We're gonna get out of you tonight, man. We're gonna get it all out tonight.
Oh boy.
So take us back to the beginning of your development, man, in Ball Ground. And I mean, what's the population?
Well, I don't know these days, but it was well under. I mean, it couldn't have been more than 5,000. Even, I mean, dude, when I was a kid, we used to play. Now I'm going to sound like Grandpa Blackwell, but when I was a kid, it still is the case that we're a one stoplight town. But we used to literally play Frisbee and throw the football in the middle of Main Street. One cop in town, and he would come by every now and then and say, you boys get out of the road if a car comes, you know, that type of thing. And in the last, say, 5-6 years, it's just been a boom, man. Like I tell everybody, all of a sudden they found us, you know, and so it's townhomes and gated communities and pickleball and whatever, you know, goat's milk soap. I don't know, you know, like people open up bridal boutique candle shops and all this kind of thing. And it's just it's been crazy to watch it happen. I've never, like, you're kind of just sitting in the middle of this tiny little town, nothing of a town. And then all of a sudden it just starts. I mean, you know, townhomes, wineries, breweries, all the things you never think, you know. So it's crazy. It's crazy to see. But I've been here my entire life, man. I was born here.
How did it start? How did the guitar come into your hands?
I don't even know. And so my grandfather and all of his brothers, he had 2 brothers and 3 sisters. I think there were 6 of them. And all of them played or sang. They were bluegrassers. And so there was always a guitar around. And my uncle was a professional musician. He was a drummer. He's a great singer, songwriter, guitar player. And I mean, he did his time in Nashville. He played around here. He started out playing banjo, but he was a drummer professionally. That was his main. And just from the time, I just remember thinking my earliest memories were like, why will they not let me have that guitar? You know, I was wanting to get it before they would even let me. So, I mean, I was a kid, a young kid. And it was just like, you know, you pick it up. Like I say, I never really took any lessons or anything, but I would, my uncle or somebody would show me something, you know, here or there. And you get this much info and you sit in your room and, you know, it opens up to 10 other things if you're hungry enough, you know. You remember what it's like to be desperate for input, you know, and somebody would tell you one little thing and it would unlock 100 other things, you know. It's not
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, it's not like these kids today with their YouTube and whatnot.
We're going to talk about that.
Oh,
did you ever take private lessons or did you have a teacher or?
No, I didn't. I really wish that I could have. Other than like I say, you know, my uncle was the only one that was a professional out of the family. My dad didn't play anything, but when I was about 9 years old, a guitar player that was in a band with my uncle, they would have been maybe 30 when I was 9, late 20s anyway. And he would be hanging out with my uncle, and he took a shine to me and showed me the pentatonic scale and da-da-da-da-da. And we're still best friends to this day. And that was about it in the way. I mean, since I've been, I took the great Dean Brown, who just passed away a few weeks ago, LA guitar, played with Sanborn, played with everybody. During COVID, I did like a Zoom lesson with him, but I mean, that was just because I've always admired his playing and wanted to pick his brain a little bit, but a one-time thing. But as I was growing up, nary a one, as they would say here in the country, not a lesson. So it was all just locked up in the bedroom with a guitar and some records, and that type of thing.
Yeah, man. Well, I mean, that's the way really most of us, learned. I mean, if we had the opportunity to get a some private stuff, but back, I mean, because you're technically, how old are you? You're still in your 40s.
42, yeah. Before,
yeah. So you're like the last of the, you're like you're in that weird place of, you're really old, but you're young. Right? We've talked about that, man. Like, you're really from a different generation in terms of how you think about music, how you like, the stuff that you're passionate about.
Well, I'm an old man at heart anyway. I'm an old soul, everybody knows.
So,
but I think I guess, I mean, I might be the last, I grew up half my life without the internet, and all that jazz. So, I mean, I was an adult. So I remember life before, and, I've had 20 years or so with. So I kind of look at that as the dividing line, like as far as the change occurring. I grew up listening to records, I remember records, but by the time I was 4 or 5, it was cassette tapes and then CDs and all that. But my earliest memories were still records. I was born in 81. So,
well, how did you get the records to get all these other styles? Like what? I mean, Ball Ground didn't have like Ohio players, you know what I'm saying?
Well, man, interestingly, I mean, it's true. Well, there was a lot of musicians up here because there just ain't nothing else to do,
Right.
But you didn't get the variety. I mean, you did get a lot of classic country music and bluegrass and that type of stuff up here.
Right.
My dad, I have to thank him for that. He had, was a classic rock fan, and so, excuse me, he would have your typical music of the Eagles, REO Speedwagon, but I got to say, man, he was a big Allman Brothers fan.
Okay.
And so those guys, that music in particular, I've thought about this a bit because they were more so than any other. I mean, I remember really liking early on, I would like the slick stuff. I remember hearing Toto for the first time and thinking, oh man, this is really tight. And I mean, I was digging it heavier, but the Allman Brothers based pretty much in improvisation. They would have these song forms, but man, they would just go and go and go. So I just kind of thought that's how you played music. I thought that was the goal.
Right.
You have songs. So that kind of, to whatever degree I did go on and get into jazz and everything, I would say that was the genesis of it. Is that
they had a lot of styles going on in the Allman Brothers that
I mean,
to be a gateway to other things, but
right.
Of course, like I mean, you don't when you're young, you don't realize it. I mean, you're just into it and you're loving it, and then later on, you only, oh man, they were playing country music, they were playing some jazz stuff, obviously blues. I mean, all the influences. But by the time I even realized all that, it was already ingrained, So being able to, and I grew up with some guys around here my age, and we would learn all that stuff and jam for 30 minutes on Allman Brothers tunes or whatever. And it wasn't until I was probably, I remember exactly being 14 years old and hearing Kid Charlemagne, the Steely Dan song with, of course, the great Larry Carlton solo. I heard that for the first time when I was at a house party. And man, it was like one of those deals where I was ready to hear it. You know what I mean? Like musically, I had developed to a point where I realized, man, there's some stuff like there's harmonically, this is interesting. This is like jazz, blues, and rock and all this all at once. If I would have heard it when I was 12, it would have just been something going on in the background, or 10, but because I was ready to hear it. And it was in a 5-disc changer. You remember those?
Yes.
Guys, that was like the big thing, and music never stopped. We were at somebody's birthday party, and dude, I went over there, and when I went to leave the party, I stole that damn CD. I was like, what is this? So I wore it out, man. I just listened, and I still listen to it probably twice a week, even now. But that was the revelation for me, because everything I'd played up until that point, as exploratory as it could be, taking these extended jams on Allman Brothers tunes or whatever, harmonically, it didn't get too complex. So this was the first time that I was hearing somebody with kind of like a rock sound play over some changes type of thing,
right.
In a way that connected with me. I mean, of course, and we're talking 90. I mean, everything was out, I mean, that was the one that connected with me.
Well, meanwhile, the guy who you took the disc from, his display is still spinning to get past that CD that was missing.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Luckily, like when it gets to the one where the disc ain't, the disc getting there, it just goes on to the next one. So I was like, man, I remember.
Remember, there is a little hesitation. There's a little clicky thing.
Yeah.
So he probably was like, wait a minute, I put 5 CDs in there.
Trip, if you're out there, I'm sorry, bud. I'm the one. I'm the one that took your Royal Scam CD in the 1995. And I hit random on the thing too, so it would keep going to different ones. I knew I was, no, man. I was like, I gotta have this, man. I've got to have it. And so I discovered Larry Carlton, and which is funny, man, because
right.
Oh yeah, man.
I mean, that's the cool thing about you. I mean, you mentioned 2 historic bands. I guess you could call Steely Dan a band. They weren't really a band, but I guess they were at one point. But getting to those cats, man, because you're like, oh, man, this sounds. Man, let me go check some. This
Absolutely.
influence. You go listen to Dreams. It's like, oh man, and then somebody's, you might find out, oh man, what's Footprints, man? Who's that by? There's all of these like connections that you can make with, the Allman Brothers or with Steely Dan and all the session players and Bernard Purdie. Who's that? Let me go, this feels good. Let me go check out some of the other stuff. And that's what, I feel sorry for kids today. They don't have that sort of roadmap to follow,
Dude, that's interesting you say that. I was thinking about that very thing earlier today when I was walking. I was like, because when we would discover somebody like a Larry Carlton or even Stevie Ray Vaughan, anybody, the first thing I would want to do is I was like, man, where is all this coming from? I would want to go down the rabbit hole. Who is this guy? Who are his influences? Who is his, and man, today I don't know if their kids are doing that as much, I don't know. I mean, it doesn't seem like it, because
producers are now their influence. It's not the musician.
It's true, man.
It's like, oh, I like Timberland. I like this person.
Yeah.
I like that person. That they're the real stars behind it.
Yeah. And there'll be, 8 or 10 of them per song.
Yeah. It's not Greg Fillinganes. It's like, oh, Fillinganes played with Toto and he was killing. Looking at the liner notes. No, they don't even look at that anymore. What are liner notes anymore?
Exactly.
Streaming,
and that's
it's
like
hard to even searching for. I mean, like, even if there might be a recording where we're trying to figure, man, I can't remember who's playing on it. You're like, man, it's like going down
you're trying to find
Secret Service.
Trying to find the Dead Sea Scrolls, just who played guitar on.
To your point, Blackwell, though, those kind of things were important to us to find out who was playing drums on this. Like,
that's right.
When I was listening to Joe Sample, it wasn't just Joe Sample alone. It was like, oh wait, Omar Hakim is playing on this?
Yes.
What else is he playing on?
Exactly. And who, and like who were his influences and all that. And so you get exposed to this. And you go back and listen to those guys, and then you can clearly hear it gives you a fresh perspective on, say, Larry Carlton. You go back and you find all the guys that he loved, then you listen to him, it's like, wow. And I think that's if I can articulate a point, it would be that when I hear some of the younger guys, it's like I don't hear the history in their playing. And I feel like that's everybody that I've loved. The reason I have loved them and identify and connect with their playing is because I hear everything that came before them and what they're bringing to the party. You know what I mean?
Guitar is one of those instruments, though. It's so many sounds that's associated. Yeah. Like, okay, piano is just one thing, and you don't have you only have a couple like iconic things, but I feel like guitar ultimately has so many iconic things that you have to learn how to match the sound.
Man.
Distortion, tubes, compression, crybaby, wah-wah.
Yeah.
All different things.
How to get a good sound in general.
Right.
Just how
you flipped me out the Wednesday night when you had 2 stereo speakers set up thing and had the polarity switch, bro. That's time. That's time spent on trying to get a sound perfected. You know?
Well, Robin Ford, again, I'll quote him. He said in an interview one time, he was like, he's like a tone guy, one of the greats. And someone was asking him about tone and this and this. And he said, well, man, it's like this. If it doesn't sound good, nothing past that matters. It's like, it's just kind of like, you can have the greatest heart in the world, but if you're a jerk, nobody's going to get to that. So if you've got a bad tone, no one's going to say, yeah, man, his tone is abysmal, but he's really playing some great stuff. It's like, so I've always been, that's a huge, it's 90% of the thing for me is having a good sound,
So what's your advice to younger guys or older guys? Because we know some older guys that, I'm like, bro, where's your tone at? And this is in all instruments, drums,
I know,
keys, bass, guitar. It's not mutually exclusive. It's all the way around, man. It's
a touch, isn't it? It's developing your touch. Like you were saying, piano. You think a piano is a piano, but man, Joe Sample sat down at a piano and it sounds like Joe Sample playing it.
Yeah.
Same piano, Tyrone sat down at it. It sounds like
Yeah.
It's all, man. It's in here. It's in here and here, and somehow you just do the best you can to make it come out through these and through the speaker. But you have to it has to be up here first,
So that's what you would tell the younger kids, students and stuff. What would you say?
Without getting into like technical, gear type stuff, I would say, the tone, like I played a bunch of country music and everything growing up. I've always played Stratocasters, which are, country music, especially in the 90s, more associated with a Telecaster, twangy kind of, chicken picking thing. And guys would all ask me, it's like, man, that Stratocaster sounds like a Tele. You're playing all that. How are you doing that? And I think, well, man, I just look down at it and think, well, be a Telecaster, it really is. It's conceptually. And I don't want to be old man Blackwell on the soapbox, but I will say this to that end. Like the stuff that's available now, that's like the modeling stuff and everything. I feel there's a little bit of me, while I love it and have embraced it, I feel like there's a part of me that's like, man, it's too easy to sound good now. Everybody can sound, you can go and, you know what I mean? It's like going to McDonald's and getting the number one combo you can get. And that's why a lot of people sound the same now, is because they don't have their own idea of what they want. Everybody can just it's this generic kind of thing where everybody can get Pro Tools or some a universal audio interface, and everybody can get everybody can get a Fractal or a Kemper or some kind of modeling amp that all have the same sounds, that have all been dialed in to sound pretty good. Hey, you want to sound like Steve Lukather here. Here's a preset for that. Here's a preset for, you want to sound like Mark Knopfler. Here's a preset for that. They're not sitting here with an amp and a cable and trying to make it come from here. So you end up with like the playing field is so level now on that end that I'm hearing a lot of great playing from the younger guys, but not a lot of strong identities. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
totally.
I mean, it's not a lot of sitting around in the bedroom like listening and trying to make it come out. A lot of like, well, what can I buy to give me that sound?
You touching on something, and Burroughs knows that I'm hard on guitar players because some of these guitar players, everybody needs help now and then, right? So I'm thinking I could look to the guitar players like, hey man, what's the bridge do on this? And they just like, I'm like, you don't know the changes? You're skating?
Yeah.
So what in your estimation is like the hardest part of playing the guitar? Because for me, middle C is in only one spot on the piano. It's just one spot. And the hardest thing about guitar for me is all the choices that you have to make. And you can play yourself into a rut this way and this way too. I mean, you can go up, down, sideways.
That's it.
But I can only go one direction, left or right. And that's my choices. And I can see it.
Pitch goes up, pitch goes down.
But middle C is only on one spot. But y'all have like a lot of middle C's has a different timbre. It's just so much. So what would you say is the hardest thing about playing guitar?
Well, I mean, you can get like, analysis paralysis, they say, with so many options, but it does become the notes being available in so many places becomes more intuitive the more you play. And you do get to make decisions like, okay, the C in the same octave on a wound string does have a different timbre than that same C in the same octave on an unwound string down here. So you're making decisions based on how much,
longevity of tone or whatever.
Textures and, whatever you want to have. But man, initially just learning what all the notes are, I guess. I'm trying to think back, man. I mean, when I was a kid, I used to sit and I would, try to find all those notes, but just taking one string at a time and learning what each note is. And then, when you get to the 12th fret, it starts all over again. So you're, but that, it is a complicated thing. I've tried. I don't read well at all, and so I look at sheet music, and I remember initially I was like, C, okay, which one? I'm looking at it like, but then like guys that are great at it, that read all the time, that do a lot of plays or a lot of, that are constantly reading. It's intuitive to them because you look at what's coming next and well, I want to start your choices based off of that. And there's a lot of that, man, a lot of shortcuts that you learn on, which I imagine is no different from any other instrument, but what you're about to play is informed by what you're playing right now. You know what I mean? Like the type of C chord I'm going to play depends on what the next chord is going to be and how I can get to it and all that kind of jazz. So I don't know, man, but the hardest thing about playing, I would say, is learning about, other than notes and chords and like the physical limitations of just getting some muscle memory and building up calluses and all that, would be getting good sounds, having an idea of what a good clean sound and when, and like the effects and all that, like having some taste about what's the appropriate, overdrive. I mean, there's so many, you can't just say overdrive, man. There's a million shades of overdrive. There's a little bit to a lot to a, and all that, it affects your touch and, the sensitivity and I could go on and on and on. I'll turn this into a Guitar Geek podcast if y'all ain't careful, but
that's beautiful, man, because it's like you're very philosophical about your approach without sounding, because you have an organic, you don't sound like you're thinking about it, but the amount of thought that is behind what you do, that's a different level, man. And there's a lot of cats that cannot get out of their own head. You know, I've been there. I mean, when
we all have, yeah.
You know, you're in that you're in a stage where it's like you're trying to get the data out.
Yes,
Right.
yeah.
And you're trying to get the data out in a musical situation, which, man, there's just like you said, there's a million choices that you can make. And every second that, you know, should I do this? Should I do that? And it's like, once you start thinking about that, it's gone. You know, it's like that moment is only there in the moment. So it's like anticipation.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's no different than, you know, when you're playing and you take such musical solos on the drums. You do all the practicing and all that. So when the heat's on, it comes out. And it's the same with gear. You don't want to be up there in the middle of I've got, you know, 5, 6, 7 sounds that I know that I've got ideas. So if I want a chorus, I know what I want a chorus to sound like. I know what I want a phase shifter to sound like, or a Leslie thing or an octave. I've got my concept of how I want those to sound. And I want those to be readily available to me. So when that occurs to me, it's very fast for me to get to it. You know what I mean? You want the gear to kind of disappear, basically.
Right.
Like get out of the way and just become, you know, because I have been guilty, man, early on, especially, have all this crap and you're up there thinking, oh, let me use a tremolo. Oh, let me use a wah. You know, you're not even, you know, you're so into the gear that, you know what I mean? The song, you know, the guy's like, yo, are you using a wah on Sweet Home Alabama right now? You're fired, you know. Yeah, you get stuff. I mean, you can become preoccupied with that stuff, you know.
And so would you agree? I think Tyrone was alluding to this a little bit earlier, is now, and you know, I've talked about, there's a story. I think I told you this story. I played at a huge church up in Woodstock.
Okay.
This is, you know, several years ago. And I walked in, it was like the Dallas Cowboys Stadium or something like that.
Oh yeah.
And when I say, you know exactly which one I'm talking about. So and there was a youth band playing before you know, the regular those cats had probably been there. I think they said they had to get there at like 6 or something, 5 or 6 or something. Just brutal, right? But what I noticed was the guitar players had pedal boards the size of a mattress.
Yeah. 2 people to carry it in.
Like literally, this dude is probably, he couldn't have been more than 5'2", 5 foot, you know, 5'2", 5'3". His pedal board was just to him to try to, but you know, he had the whole tight, the look on, you know, the whole, you know, but you know, I was checking him out, man, and I'm like, he's not playing anything
right
at all.
That's
and
right.
You know, and we're gonna do a sort of a church summit on both sides, you know, talk about the gospel church, and we'll talk about the
mega church, or you know,
the mega church, or the, you know, the whatever, I call it the U2 church at this point, as everything tries to sound like U2, but
that's exactly right. Or
what's but you know, man, how did it get to this point of is it just the being, you know, hammered on social media, then now you can shop 24/7 for stuff? We've been there. I've been 3 a.m. looking on Sweetwater. Like, man, you know, we used to only get to the records, you know, or to the music store when it was open during the day, right? And those are the local records or music stores, and then Guitar Center comes in where it's open till 9. Now it's 24/7. So you cats are looking at gear,
man,
all day, every day, man. So,
well, you know,
is that do you think that's sort of how that sort of got you know, we got to this point of just the availability of everything whenever you want it?
I don't know, man. You mean in terms of like mega church being poor man's Coldplay?
I'm just talking about just in terms of it seems like the gear is more important now than
it's gotten better. I mean, the gear has gotten better. I mean, in the last 20 years, I mean, you know, there was a period there. My joke was like, man, everybody with a soldering iron's making a pedal or an amplifier. You know, it's like, you know, is some new amp that was all the rage. It was that. But yeah, dude, it's all. And I'm a certified like admitted gearaholic, you know, because I feel like, man, there's always. I don't know if you guys are this way, but you feel like there's always that. Man, there's like this elusive 10% that's lurking out there that's like, if I could just get that one piece of gear that would allow me the freedom it would unlock this magical, I would all of a sudden be able to play, you know, like Larry Carlton, you know, that's not the case, but like, I think there, like, certain gear does inspire you to play, you know, the better.
No doubt.
I mean, that's not to say you know, I've got a buddy of mine up in Nashville, and his name is Jack Pearson. He's a legendary guitar player, and he's kind of notorious for playing these $120 Squire guitars, you know, and of course they sound like $1 million when he plays them, you know, and he's not doing it to prove a point, and he plays that guitar through one overdrive pedal into an amplifier. But the thing is I have to point this out to people a lot, is they're like, well, Jack Pearson plays you know, you see it like an elaborate guitar rig, and you say, well, Derek Trucks plugs into an amplifier, or Jack Pearson has, like, well, Derek Trucks and Jack Pearson only have to sound like Derek Trucks and Jack Pearson. You know what I mean? That is their thing. They're not on a gig where someone's going to call. You know what I mean? Like, or they're not having to cover as much sonic territory as.
Right. That's a great point.
As a side man. I mean, that's a choice you can make. You know, it's up to the individual. But I look at it, man. I mean, not to get esoteric or whatever, but they're all just kind of different colors to paint with. And, you know, if you're tasteful with the effect thing, I mean, it can, you know, for textures and different shades here, I'll turn on this for, you know, 3 chords and turn it off because I think it would be interesting sonically, a departure from the norm. And then, you know, but nowhere in the middle of all that does regular good old guitar playing go to the wayside. You know, the part has to have integrity on its own. I feel, you know, what you're doing can't be based on effects. I mean, for me personally, there are guys that play effects. The Edge kind of started it, you know, with the guitar player for U2. I mean, he was the big one that kind of, when all that had, like Streets with No Name, that big intro with all the delay going, and then that paved the way. The megachurch guys all jumped onto that, and then Coldplay, and so it is a genre of music, you know, that.
It's weird, man, because y'all can do all kind of pads and stuff that used to be just a piano player thing. You know, like, man.
Yes.
But, you know, you made me think about something, Blackwell. So I had an opportunity to play with the great Larry Carlton, which was cool. And I remember you called me because it was like, it was in Woodstock or something. You're like, hey, man, is this really Larry Carlton that's coming? I was like, bro, I had the same fear too. I was like, I thought somebody was pulling my leg, you know.
Is this Larry Carlton from Griffin, Georgia, or Larry Carlton? No, man. And I was there.
You were there. So here's the thing. Half of the people there, though, were there to see this special amp that he's supposed to have. What's the name? Do you know what the name of that amp was?
I do. It's an amp. All the guitar players have already said it out loud, but it's called the Dumble.
Dumble, that's it. Yeah,
Overdrive Special. So without going into a thing, there's a guy named Alexander Dumble in the 80s that built these amplifiers, and Larry Carlton used one, Robin Ford used one, Eric Johnson used one, Stevie Ray Vaughan used one. So Carlos Santana used one. And so it quickly became like, and these guys are all known for their incredible tone. So the Dumble became synonymous with incredible guitar tone. What people didn't realize is, you know, he was designing these amps specifically for the guy. You know, he would, like Larry Carl, famously, Robin Ford and Larry Carlton did a tour together. Each had their Dumble amplifiers, and they plugged into each other's amps. Both of them hated it because they're designed specifically. Larry Carlton's Dumble was built specifically for Larry, as was Robin's, etc. You can get them out there now. They're still, and they go for $150,000 each. You know, because Alexander, he just passed away about a year ago, but he only made so many of them, and he notoriously, he wouldn't build them for just anybody. You know, he every now and then would like mod some Fender amps through like a local music store in California, and you could get on the list, and he would mod your Fender for you.
Right.
Or if you had the money, you could get on the 5, 6, 7 year wait for him to build you an amp, but it was going to be thousands and thousands of dollars, you know.
But Larry played, that night he played through like a Hot Rod Deluxe or something like that.
That's right.
And it was his sound.
That's correct.
Killing. And I remember because we didn't even have a proper sound check. We went over one song with him, and then I learned so much just from how he operated, because they didn't know what was going on, how to do a proper sound check. And this cat, Chris, he reduced everything. He said, all right, let's start with the bass. He did like this, up, down, stop.
Yeah.
Get this, and he got his tone. And then he said, hey, man, well, I'm just going to trust you guys. He didn't know this from anybody, man.
Well, he got lucky because he had you and he had Joe Rita. And so if there's anybody that he could trust, he had the right guys.
Yeah, he didn't know us, man. And it was really cool. But man, it was just, I just remember like half the guitar players were there to see that amp and to try to experience it. And he plugged into a Hot Rod Deluxe, and that was it, you know. And I remember somebody brought one up. They had one. And he looked at it. He's like, oh, you have a, don't? He's like, yeah, I have one.
Somebody had one there in Carter's.
Somebody had one there.
Wow.
Well, the next show he did at the Velvet Note, the guy brought it for him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I've seen Larry a couple of times at the Velvet Note there.
Right.
And, I think he got paid when he played there. But that's but man, he was there. It was fantastic. I've seen him play on deluxe reverbs, Vox, and dude, again, like I said before, it's up here, brother. Yeah. And you know, and here, Robin Ford, again, another tone guy. I saw him at a NAMM show, and he was there like promoting some kind of, Roland had come out with this modeling amp technology, and it was the craziest thing. They had these little modules that you plugged into the amp, and it was the Robin Ford sound and the Eric Johnson. You know, those guys, they were all getting a kickback from it, of course, to use their name. And Robin was there, and I saw this cat come in, known for playing his Telecaster or, you know, some humbucker style, a Les Paul or a Tele type of thing, through his Dumble, and everybody's like, oh, that's the Robin Ford sound. This cat came in with an SG and plugged into this Roland solid state modeling amp and played for 30 minutes. Guess what? Sounded just like Robin Ford.
Wow.
And not to draw any comparison to me to those guys, but I can say personally, like Burroughs knows I'm in there with a different guitar every week, just about, and a different amp, and because I'm always, and dude, I can go back and watch videos of me like for the last 10 years. I sound the damn exactly the same on a custom shop Strat through this, through a Squire, through that. I mean, you just sound like what you sound like, you know.
Right.
You've got, it's, you know, you've got your idea of what sounds good to you, and you do your best to get it out of whatever equipment that you're having.
Well, a lot of it though is like you said earlier, man. It's inspiration. It's like, you know, there's something there, you know.
Well, we've all
experienced the
limitations of gear. You know, you sit down on a crappy drum kit, and you know it's going to be a long night because I don't, you know. Yeah. I mean, of course, if you're in the right mood, it can be cool because you're like, well, I'm going to make music on this crap, no matter.
Right. Right.
generally speaking, it's like, man, you want to have,
you want to have something that speaks back to you.
That's
right. Jackson over here just got a new little piece of gear that he he can't stop talking about and playing, and
Gear Addicts Anonymous.
Oh,
it makes a difference.
You started me down a rabbit hole I didn't know anything about. When I got that Fender Rhodes, I got a stage Fender Rhodes, and trying to find an amp for it. So you read up about it. Yeah. That Rhodes is already heavy enough. So you look at the Rhodes manual, it recommended that you get a Fender Twin amp. It's just too much for that anyway, and it's too heavy.
Yeah.
Right? So man, you sold me that Fender Basement, remember? And it's warm. Still have it. But anyway,
great amp. You still have that?
I still have it. Yeah.
Man, let me buy that back.
We'll talk about that another time.
Okay, man. All right.
I loan it out for a session or something. But anyway, but we all have insecurities, and if you don't want to answer this question, that's fine. But you made mention about something about not or regretting not going to school or having these lessons, stuff like that. I dare say, Blackwell, it's more important that you can identify the colors and know as an artist what to play rather than know all the names of the stuff.
Yeah.
And you can do that. So is that something that stands in your way as a musician where you feel like if I would have gotten this, I would be more off? I'm going to disagree with you if you say the academic thing, but is there anything in there insecurity wise where you're like, of
course, I would think we've all fought that demon on some level. It's like, man, if only I could have known this, if I only, if I could have got to this earlier, I would have, I will say I did hit a point where I had a cousin that went to school here in town in Atlanta, the Atlanta Institute of Music.
Right.
And man, I was at that point where I was playing a bunch of stuff and I wanted to know what it was. I wanted to know more. I was so desperate for input. And, there was no YouTube or any of that. So I would take his books, and kind of read through those. And I started learning about harmony and stuff that way.
Oh, wow.
Kind of put myself through like a poor man's kind of, education there on that level. And there was then I was later on in my 20s. I found those Star Licks videos that guys would have, and Jimmy Bruno was a big, the jazz guitar player. I remember he did a tape that was a breakthrough for me because it was the first time I'd ever heard anybody talk about like 2-5-1s and how to play through them and how, and I was like, you just get things going off. And so, and that would have been late teens, kind of around, 18, 19, 20 in there. And I was real hungry to learn about, but man, still I was doing it all myself.
Right.
And I would look at like the Atlanta Institute of Music or something and think, man, I would go there sometimes just to with my cousin to just walk around and check it out. And it's like, man, it was like going to this magical, I was like, dude, because here I am, this dude sitting at home with like a record collection thinking, and I go in there and they've got a room full of just a whole row of just VHSs of like Pat VHS, this was in the 90s.
Right.
But like it would be Pat Metheny clinics, Stevie Ray Vaughan bootleg, you name it. And then all these stations with little amps that you could like put the video in. And I was like, oh my God. Like, so I do look at something like that and think, man, if I could have like had that type of environment for 3 or 4 years and been surrounded by guys that were also trying to do, being in that, I think insecurity, maybe, but definitely I wish that I could have done something like that.
But here's full circle because people want to be like you. They're checking out your videos.
Well,
you're very informative with your videos and stuff, but it's
well, thank you, man. Well, yeah. I try, because I know what I think, because I know what it's like to be like a young guitar player, and you get hung up, you get so far, and you're like, well, what are they doing? What is it? Blah blah blah. So now I'm like, well, man, if I can sprinkle, 5 words on this guy and make him see 10 things in a different way, let me do that for him, because I wish someone would have done it for me.
That's beautiful.
Well, I mean, I'm curious about that though, Chris. There has to be. Well, I'm not going to say there has to be, but is there? When you started playing gigs, just live gigs, and was there a mentor? Was there somebody that you sort of looked up to that sort of helped you sort of get your footing, taught you a little bit?
Everybody. I mean, because I was young. I mean, I was 14 or 15 when I got like my first gig. Like,
okay,
I quit high school. I left. I was on tour. I was 15. Everybody was older. And man, it was like the older guys, and they would get on you, if you're too loud. Don't, like, I mean, it was all that. And it was like, country music of the 90s and classic rock, the usual kind of stuff. But man, it was such great, like learning how to play parts, learning where you fit into a band, and I was at the right age for all that. And I had the guys saying like, man, listen, if you're going to play fills, do it in between the vocal, not on top of the vocal. You're playing too loud. Don't even stage it. Don't walk out in front of the singer. All this stuff, man. Like, they were beating, and we were playing 5-6 nights a week. It might be like a casino gig somewhere. It might be like some honky tonk that has music 5 nights in a row, and you stay in a band house down the street. But it was like an education, and getting to do it every night, man, every night. So you get it together, and you get to learn what it's like to be in a good band, because that's a band that's playing together. And so you learn like what a groove is, how to feel it, or and how to like, oh man, this is a good night, or this, whatever, all that kind of stuff, man. So there's like no substitute for experience.
Dude, you're exactly right. Cause I was on this gig one time, and just the education that you get on the gig, right? This singer gave out her Venmo on the gig for tips.
Oh, man.
And I said, hold, time out. It's not even, you're sitting in with us. You can't right.
It wasn't even her gig.
It wasn't her gig.
Oh,
we have like a tip jar with the Venmo thing on it. She's like, I'll split it up. I was like, no.
Wow.
And she just basically just like said why. So I couldn't hire her anymore, bro. But,
oh man,
but that's the kind of stuff. I mean, you're gonna learn on the gig some things that is not written in the book. Like you said, hey, play in between the gaps.
That's it.
You're playing with a keyboard player. How do you navigate that, Cris Blackwell? You know what I'm saying? We can't read each other's minds, so we don't know what chords we're gonna play at time, what rhythm.
That's right.
So you got to find your part, right? You got to find your space.
Find your part, and you learn how to like find something that's out of the way, and you learn to stick with your part, because this guy's relying on you to do what you're doing, so he knows what he's going to do.
Right. Exactly.
Music, and there's like, being on the road so young too, all the musical stuff, but also, man, stuff, living with guys, being in a van or a bus with people, and learning how to like hang and not be a drag and not be on people's nerves and all that. You know what I mean?
That's an art.
Art for that, man. That's like the whole other side of the gig that nobody really ever talks about, but it's like half of it, Right. Like being able to play is a prerequisite.
But just talk about the importance of, man, you had to have somebody to get on you about something.
I did. I remember a guitar player. His name is Jim Tanner, and he was like one of the older guys, and he was in the band, and I was like the young kid and all that. And he loved me, and I loved. But man, one night after a gig, the first set was over, and he said, "Bro, if this was a major artist, you would be fired for how loud you're playing right now." He said, "This is unbelievable." And so, I mean, dude, he might as well have just stabbed me in the heart, because here I was thinking like we're killing it, And so, man, it's like, so Jim Tanner, and he was the epitome of he was twice my age, and had been playing, and and so I would listen to him, have this great tone and play all this perfect stuff. And I would just copy whatever he was doing, or try to do my take on it. And, but he would bust me, man. He would bust me playing too much, or like this, that sound is too much of a rock song. We're playing a Merle Haggard song, don't be playing all this bullshit. It's like, he wasn't a jerk. He was a lovely, but man, it did me a world of good,
Right.
And, I try, man, these days, it's like a different, I don't know if you can do that these days, really. I mean, if you got somebody you're playing with regularly, yeah, there's somebody, if you've got that type of relationship, but just to kind of come off the top rope at some young guns, like, yo, hey, you'd probably get sued or something, canceled or what.
Well, we had we were just to kind of go back a couple of days ago. We were having interesting comments with some young guys, and I asked one of them. I said, "What are your goals?" And he goes, "Goals? Just, musicians don't have goals."
Oh man!
So the only goals we have is get a gig, get better, or he had absolutely no, and I was just like, man. So you have no goals as to what you want to do, where you want to be, who you want to play with. Like, I'm going through all of these things, and it's just like, literally, it's like
zombie.
Nothing, man. Nothing. And this cat lives in New York City.
Oh man.
Just moved out there.
Moved up there to take a beating. Sounds like, man,
man.
Well, dude, I think you should have goals, man. You should at least be able to loosely define what it is you're trying to do. And for me as a young man, it was always, I wanted more than anything. I wanted to have the admiration of my peers and to meet those. I wanted to meet Larry Carlton. I wanted to meet, I wanted to watch him. I wanted to be around it and be in the room with it. And like Nashville, being so close to Nashville here in Atlanta, I've kind of been back and forth. I've never lived there. And I've thought about it a million times over and wish I had moved there when I was younger. But the thing I was saying about the Atlanta Institute of Music, like the environment of just being around people, that's, for me, the good thing about what a Nashville or a New York or whatever, it's like people are there striving, and it makes you, and just to be in the town where I've got some of my biggest guitar heroes ever are based in Nashville. And it just to wake up in the morning and breathe the air that they're breathing, you know what I mean? Know that they're there, and go be able to go see them play. And that kind of thing is one thing. I mean, we have a ton of great musicians here in Atlanta, but like, I'm talking, icon status people. That is one good thing that, you go to New York, you stumble down the street and hear Mike Stern playing or whatever, and it's quite a different story. I've always tried to pretend or I know that they're there. You know what I mean? I've tried to base it's like I'm in Atlanta, but the standard I have on myself is what I know is happening in Nashville, just up the road. And it's like, that is the industry standard line that, you need to be able to do X, Y, and Z. And cause that's what they're doing up there. And that's been kind of but doing it from afar is different than being there. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, your goals get adjusted. I mean, you start off with certain goals and some people are like, oh, I want to win a Grammy when you're like young, right?
Yeah.
And then you soon find out whether it's politics or you don't have the opportunity, or then you adjust that goal and say, okay, I want this. And sometimes those goals will just pop up after you've abandoned them and said, okay, I've adjusted my goals, adjusted whatever my career is. I never knew that I was going to be doing so much music with plays. It was never on my radar, Chris. It was never. And then I had one opportunity, and then that just turned into other things. So your goals get adjusted, but to Burroughs' point, I mean, you got to be reaching for something, you know.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, and
just to make a living. I just wanted to make a. I mean, I knew I wanted to make a living playing music. That was, and if that, you know, that could be multitasking. That could be doing some teaching. You're doing some.
You're always going to wear a different hat.
Oh yeah,
but you know, but I had that. It was like, you know, it just like you said, your goals are going to change based on, you know,
what you learn as you go.
What you learn as you go, and you know, the different things that you fall into, the people that you align yourself with, is super, super important. And you know, if you know, this is, you know, one thing Tyrone and I talk about a lot, and what we see a lot, which is you're just aligning yourselves with, you know, people who are at the same level. This is, you know, as you're growing, as you know, more student, like maybe you're above a student, you're graduated, or you're trying to play, but you're not playing with the older guys. You're playing with your cronies.
Yeah.
And you're all just patting each other on the back. You're playing, oh, you know, we're going to do the, oh man, we're killing whatever. But it's like, you're not getting any better, because it's like, you can't really challenge yourselves at that age if you're all on at that same level. Now, we all, obviously, there's stories of our heroes playing together as young people, but it was a lot different back then, because that was the only thing they could do. That was the only thing they knew how to do. So all of our heroes were making records at 20, at 19, 20, 21. They had already made several records.
Oh,
you know, it was a different time back then. But you know, we want to see some of these, the young, it's like, man, get yourselves, try to play. If it's your gig, call the guys that you look up to. Hopefully you look up to somebody, and see if they'll come play with you. You'd be surprised. Maybe they will, maybe they won't, but don't take it personally, but maybe they will. And that's how you're gonna, you know, you're gonna kind of get some that's how you're gonna get better.
Don't be afraid to get in over your head, man. You know, say yes. Speaking of, like, Jennifer Holliday, I was playing with her, you know, as I said earlier, I don't read music. And she asked me, she was getting ready to do Dreamgirls, like some big, long 8 or 9 week run. She's like, Chris, will you play guitar? I was like, yeah. Because I knew, you know, it was like going to involve, but I was like, man, say yes and figure it out, because I believed that I would. You know what I mean? It's always, you know, that old saying, which, like you're saying, you know, try to be the worst one on stage, you know, at least, I mean, it was difficult for the two of you, but not so difficult for me. You guys are, man, I can't believe I get to play with you guys. Honestly,
many stories, man.
Well, I mean, you need the old guy to tell you to turn down sometimes, man. You know, and that's what you're getting at when you're surrounded by, you know, this echo chamber of we're killing it. You know, it's like that's great and it has its purpose, but I don't know how much growth is in that, because you don't have a different perspective ever. You know what I mean? Nobody.
And, you know, we need the younger guys for the energy and for their newness and freshness too. So it's reciprocal. You know,
it is.
You play with the same cats all the time and stuff, and sometimes you're like, okay, a cat could turn you onto something. You know, Miles Davis was like, when he came back after he was kicking his drug habit, Wayne Short and those guys passed him up, and they carried him on a couple of gigs. But his astuteness, his level of creativity, man, he started talking to Wayne Short, talking to Herbie, Ron Carter, all those guys. Like, man, how you guys doing it? And Herbie said within like 2 or 3 gigs, he was leading the pack and stuff. But he needed that energy from those younger guys as well. You know?
Right. And he had the desire to want to do it. He wanted to do it. You know, it was coming from a real place of, I want to be a part of this, not the superficial, well, this is what's going on now, so I better take part in it. Right. I think that's not beneficial to anybody, you know, when there's the copycat thing or people jumping onto whatever's happening at the time, just to, you know, it's like, I think there has to be, whatever it is you do, you have to, really want to do it. Otherwise, everybody's going to know.
Well, I saw the gig that Burroughs curated at the Ritz and Lake Oconee. I came out there to hear you guys because I played that one of those nights as well, and it was just cool just sitting back and listening. But y'all had a newer song that y'all were doing, and it had this vocoder part, and you figured it out on guitar how to get that sound. I ran back there, like, man, how'd you do that? And so. I mean, that's a testament to how, like you're saying, you're always learning. You're not stagnant. As much as as accomplished as you are, you're still learning. You're still trying to match things up. So I thought that was really, really cool that you did that.
Well, thank you, bro. And don't we know, like everybody, all the older cats, they'll all tell you, it's like, man, I want to keep learning. I want to keep going. I want to keep. It doesn't matter. Who was it? It is the famous cellist.
Yo-Yo Man? No.
Well, it was
Isaac Perlman.
Yeah. Why do you still practice every day?
Okay.
You're 90 years old. Why do you still? Well, I think I've almost got some things figured out. It just never has. The beautiful thing about music, it never ends.
Right.
It never ends.
Well, we had a question from someone in our own camp here. And we're going to kind of we're going to kind of talk a little bit about our weekly gig, our Wednesday gig with the Mike Veal Band. Okay. And you've been in the band for much longer than I have, buddy. But you're still, with the original members, you are still the new guy. I'm new guy, but you're like of the older guys, you're the new guy.
I'm the new old guy. Yeah.
So
you're the newest of the old guys.
So you took over for
Barry Thrasher,
a cat named Barry Thrasher, and I got a chance to play with Barry, just a few times when I was subbing in the band way back in the day, but. There's legendary stories about Barry, and I mean I heard one on Saturday or Friday that, man, I was laughing so hard. I'll share. Actually, I had to share it with both of you because there's one person involved that we all know, that Barry. Just, man, it was so funny what he said, but talk a little bit about how you got in that band.
Okay.
And just, your I don't know if you had much of a relationship with Barry before you joined the band, or let's talk a little bit about your introduction to that.
Okay. Man, back in the 90s when I was playing all the country music, I was just kind of coming into playing professionally, and there was a club here in town called Fuzzies. It was not far from where we play at the Tin Roof. It was right down North Druid, about a half a mile.
Mm-hmm.
And they would have music, I think 7 nights a week, but definitely you could catch music in there 4 or 5 nights a week anyway. And the Mike Veal Band had Wednesdays there. And man, I would have been 16, 17. And I used to sneak in there and hear those guys play. And man, I would sit there and I forget, man, the lineup, it was always Barry on guitar and Tom on keys. And it might've been, the drummer or bass player, I don't know. But I mean, I maybe went and seen them maybe not 10 times altogether in my life, but I saw them 7, 8 times, we'll say. And, through that, like, it was the beginnings of MySpace, and I had just started a gig out at a place called Cowboys, which was a big country place. It was like in Kennesaw.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was a big, at one time, it was like a big deal. When I was there around 2003, well, our drummer was a guy named Jimmy Mouton, who had been in the Mike Veal Band. Maybe, I don't know at what point, but left them to come play with us, the way I understood it. So me and him would talk. And so Barry came out one night to hear our band play. And he heard me playing, and man, excuse me, we struck up a friendship there. And I was like, yeah, man, I used to come here, you guy, blah, 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 you know. And so we kind of kept in touch. He loaned me a guitar once to check out, you know, with some pickups in it that I was looking at. And we would like write each other. I discovered he was a big Andy Griffith show fan, like myself. And so we would send each other back, but we weren't like, we didn't hang out. We didn't go like meet for lunch or whatever, but we would like have like shoot each other a text here and there and talk about different. And then when Facebook came around, you know, we would see videos of each other playing and blah, 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 and keep up, you know. And he was always so cool, man, like to me, very. And so like we had a lot of the same influences and stuff, you know. Again, he was much older, but that shows you what an old soul I am. Like me and him, we had all the stuff in common, 20-year age gap. But so he had a heart attack about, I guess it's going on 8 or 9 years ago now. He didn't pass away, but he went down for a while. Mike Veal called me. I remember I was on the road with that ABBA tribute show that I was in forever. Or he sent me a message and he told me what was going on. And he said, man, Barry told me to call you. He said you were like, would know, you know, that gig. It's a weird gig. For those that don't know, the Mike Veal band is like, man, for a musician, it's like Jody Worrell, another guitar player, is like, yeah, man, it's like volunteering to jump in the meat grinder. You know, I mean, you never know, like, it's just songs coming at you you've never heard, and you know, they're starting without you. You know, get in where you can fit in or get out. You know, it's that type of thing. It's just coming. And so Mike had shot me a text and said, Barry's had a heart attack, and he told me to call you that you might be able to help us out. And I was like heartbroken to hear that about Barry. And also I was like, wow, man, like this is the band. Like when I was younger, like we would all, it was like the hang, the Wednesday night there at Fuzzy's was like the musicians hang, because those guys were killer, man. I mean, it's like the only place you could go in town and hear guys do Bohemian Rhapsody or what, and like nailing it to the wall with all the harmonies and that playing, then turn around and do Roundabout. And then, well, now we're going to do the Beatles White Album. Well, now we're going to do, and you're just like, who does this? You know, like you're thinking, I would love to be a part of that, but you know. So it was like this childhood thing coming in. It was this weird connection that it was making for me, if you can dig it, like the Barry thing. And plus I was like, wow, man, I never thought I'd be, you know, because I revered those guys so much and still do. But so I went and I played with those guys for 5 or 6 months, and Barry got better. He kind of got over his heart attack, and he felt like he wanted to come back and start playing again. And Mike, and I still don't know, I think Mike, because I'd got such a rapport going with everybody and we were having such a good time, Mike didn't want to say to me like, well, hey man, thanks, you know, Barry's back, you know. And he was like, man, we'll have 2 guitar players. But me being like I was saying, I don't know if we were live yet, but I was saying like the Robin Ford quote, sometimes doing what's best for the music means leaving the room. Mm-hmm. And I know that gig in particular, I would just be in Barry's way, or he would be in my, like, it's not a 2 guitar player, because nothing, it's not like you're having rehearsals and you're talking about, it's that band's never rehearsed. So I took that, I said, man, Barry's back, welcome back. And so I kind of faded out to the background and went on back to what I had been doing. And a little while, I don't know exactly how much time went by there, but he did end up passing away. And I had already plugged back into the stuff that I got my old gigs back or whatever. And then Mike calls me again, and I was like, oh man. So I made whatever arrangements I could make and went back and playing with the guys. And there I've been for 8 or 9 years. I tell people it's like a bad marriage or something, like a one night stand that went on. I sat in one night and never left, you know, type of thing. But, and dude, I still do feel like, I mean, it's been 8 or 9 years now, and I still very much feel like the new guy, not because of they make me feel that way, but just because I've known that band for 25 years now, as you know,
Right.
with Barry and all that, and the original lineup. So
Right.
that's pretty much it. And in that time, our buddy, when I started playing with him, Jack Jones was on drums. He's moved to New Orleans, and there was an interim period there where there were different guys in and out. George Sandler, a great Atlanta drummer, played, and then it's been you now for a year.
Probably, maybe a little longer.
Man.
I'm sorry, bro.
I'm
so sorry.
Oh man, musical wood chipper,
man.
And every now and we get lucky. Tyrone, I looked up the other day in the middle of Green Eyed Lady, and Tyrone was on keys. I said, "How'd this happen?"
Man, I can't do that gig, man. I just love that you guys do it, man. And it's great to see it happen. You know, it's part of it. I'm learning, I'm listening and loving it because it's nostalgic too to hear these songs. And the other thing is just to see how you guys navigate it is incredible. Where regular people wouldn't even understand what's going on. So that's the beautiful part of to see how you guys do that. That's like, man, I can't do this gig. I can't.
Well, man, well, you know, a testament to Burroughs. You know, he lives, like I say, or as you know, in the straight ahead world. You know, and is very like speaks that language and lives that life. And then he comes over to this thing, fits right in.
That's the thing. I've never seen him. We've talked about it that he started in that foundation of rock music, you know, and I've never seen him play because we don't play that type of music. So to get there to see my boy play it is a whole different thing. Because that's his roots right there. So that's really cool to see.
So good, man. I mean, just from the first right out of the gate, you know, it's just, you know, you have that. I mean, man, you know, within notes if it's going to happen or not with somebody playing. That's the thing that only musicians know about each other. It's, you know, it's amazing how you can have a stage full of great musicians and it still suck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You ever experienced that? Like,
definitely. And it helps when a cat have like shiny new drums and stuff like that on y'all gig and stuff. I don't get to see those type of, you know,
shiny new drums.
Red with like a tiger stripe thing, you know.
Oh yeah,
hey, man. I'm just resourceful, man. I'm just resourceful.
Yeah, well,
just resourceful. I know neither one of you cats is talking about.
Listen,
what you just got and what this cat on the end over here I see every week. Anyway, we'll have a gear war later.
Well, it sounds like Tyrone's catching up. That's what it sounds.
He is catching. He's catching up hardcore. He's catching up hardcore. So, man, you know that. The gig with Mike, we're gonna have Mike on here soon to chop it up with him and get the. I mean, that's gonna be that's gonna be an epic show. But
I have to get him a booster seat to sit on so the camera.
Shots fired! Woo, I love it. I love it, man.
That's how you know, man. That's how you know.
That's how you know. Man, you know, that's the cool thing. I mean, we have such a great just back and forth Mike and I relationship with just jabbing at each other. I mean, that's just what we do, man. He loves every bit of it. I love every bit because you have to keep it loose. You have to keep it, you know, it just I really enjoy that, you know, that type of back and forth of just being able to crack on each other, man. Because you can't really, you know, you can't do that much these days, man. People take stuff so seriously. I mean, and kind of a different, well, a little bit. It's just how you talk to people. You got to kind of, you know, make sure you talk. I think I told Tyrone this story. I was actually up at Kennesaw State for a master class with Jeff Hayden was doing a master class in the morning, and it was in a separate part of. It wasn't in the music department, or no? Was it? Yeah, was it at
Georgia Tech?
Georgia Tech. My bad. It was at Georgia Tech.
Wow.
But it wasn't in the music. It was in a different. It was like in a different building or something. So we had to bring all of our own gear. There was no gear for us to use. So I'm like carting my stuff, you know, through the student body, and my bass drum pedal falls off. It was on the back of my cart, right?
Mm.
So it falls off, and I hear this, and so I stop. I hear it, and this kid, he's like, "Do you need some help with that?" And I said, "Oh no, man, I got it." So I pick it up, I put it back on there, and I just said thank you. I said thanks, like that. He goes, "Well, you shouldn't thank me. I didn't do anything." And I was like, just in that moment, I was like, man, this could go one or two ways right now.
Yeah.
If I challenge him,
yeah,
when I get home, all my shit's gonna be canceled.
Canceled, baby.
Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, StreamYard, gone.
Yeah.
I would have gave him all your stuff too.
Right.
You can help me with that.
To not get canceled.
I'm like, by myself. No.
That's it.
So I said, well, man, it's just a figure.
I know, man.
How do you explain, right? And I just go,
so what you do?
Well, sure you did. I said, man, you made an effort. You told me. I'm like, and dude, and I was like, you offered to help me, right? And I put it back on there. So I thanked you for that. Stone face just looking at me, bro. I'm like, man, let me get out of here, bro. Because I don't know what's about to jump off over
right? You want to help?
Over giving somebody a compliment. I was like,
he was looking at you like a musician with no goals.
Blank slate, huh?
Blank slate. He's ready to move to New York.
Man. So anyway, but it's good to have cats that you can crack on and joan on, and that band is definitely
dude.
We go at it hard like that, man.
Yeah, man.
And I enjoy
Roast City, man.
It's Roast City. There is nobody is immune.
Nobody's immune.
You forget. What was the other? I actually remember my kick pedal. I brought one but the spring broke or something, right?
Yeah.
I had to have my wife bring another one. I was hearing about that, man. Real musician, real drummer has two, whatever could be said.
Oh, yeah.
And so I had to hear it about that. I was like, oh my gosh.
What did they say when Sunita brought it? Did they say anything when you?
Well, I told Chris, I go, that's why you need a wife. He goes, ooh.
You started something now.
Man, listen.
Let's not even open that door. We are not, bro.
Woo. Well, listen, man.
Okay.
You go get some proposals, bro. Be careful.
Okay, so listen.
What about them other 23 hours and 30 minutes when she ain't bringing you that kick pedal?
Okay, so here we go.
That's a hell of a price to pay to get somebody.
I knew it.
For a pedal, right?
I knew it.
Listen, I'll buy 2 damn.
Let's hit the break.
We're
gonna hit the break right now. We're gonna stop at red light. Okay.
Listen, this ain't a good time for me to be talking about.
All right, listen. Okay. We're gonna do it. We're gonna have you back. We're almost at 2 hours, man. I told you it flies by. All right.
Oh wow, okay.
Well, we've got some things. So we're trying to get some format to the show. We're trying to get some. So we got some stuff for you here, Chris.
Uh-oh.
So first thing is, what are you listening to?
Wow. Okay. Man, I was thinking about this earlier too, because I need something new to listen to because I still keep going back to the same old well. I was talking about Carlton and those guys. I keep listening to the same records over and over, but I have to say I do find something new. And you guys, as you grow as a musician, you listen to stuff that you listened to years ago, but you've got a
different perspective of
you
it,
do because you
right.
know more about production now.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you know more about harmony now. Maybe
happened to me the other day. Yes, sir.
And so you're picking up stuff. So man, it's like I gain as much, and I think even more, because if I've got a piece of music or a record that I'm very familiar with, and I treat it like a study, it's like I know it inside and out. I know what all the notes are and all that. But now I'm going to listen to the drum sound. Now I'm going to go on YouTube and see if I can find the isolated the isolated bass track. I might learn it. You know, then when I listen to it, you can analyze the groove that way more. You can hear if it's locking, if it's ain't, or like, well, man, it doesn't sound like it should groove, but it is. Why? You know, and then you learn, well, maybe, I mean, sonically, there's something happening there that's helping it. It's so please, you know, there's just so I gain new insights from old music that I'm familiar with as much as I do anything. And I mean, I'll check out new stuff. I mean, you know,
Joe Bonamassa.
Yeah, you know.
Oh, he was waiting to sneak that one in. God,
I listen.
Next question. Hit him with the next one, bro. Don't let him.
Well, okay. Go back to the original question. What are you listening to? Get you back on track, brother.
That's that. You know, you're wearing. I thought about that when I saw your Gaucho shirt there. I was thinking about that. You know, that album was in 1980, and they didn't release another album until 2000, which was Two Against Nature.
Right. Talking about Steely Dan.
Steely Dan, of course.
Yes.
And sonically, man, you put up those records, and man, it's pretty close sonically with the tone, the sounds, and it's like, wow, man, the 80s, 20-year gap, 2000, and the song My Rival in particular off Gaucho sounds like it belongs on that. And you know, you think about all the way that gear had changed and their songwriting, da 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 da, but the consistency there, you know, I will think about things like that more than like new. I'll think, wow, man, the way that, I mean, Donald Fagen and Walter Bray, their concept for sound and their, you know, the harmonic language that they created that you hear all through their song. I mean, you can hear just no different than Stevie Wonder. Like you hear two bars and you know, oh, that's some Stevie Wonder harmony right there. Same with Donald Fagen, those major 9 chords that they move around in whole steps. Right. They're beautiful, you know, turnarounds that they do. But like just to hear Gaucho from 80 and then Two Against Nature, it's like, man, they're so close. That is amazing to me. And I will get off on that for 2 or 3 days and just think,
all right,
cool. So,
yeah,
you know,
those 2 albums. Okay. I like that. I got my Gaucho t-shirt rocking right now. So,
nice.
So I'm what about you, Mr. Jackson? What are you listening to?
Man, I was so caught up in listening to stuff to learn things that I just been working on some holes in my playing. So I've been taking a tune a day and taking it through all 12 keys. So, but I did listen to the last thing I listened to, and I've been listening to every day is that joint that Joe wanted to do, the Wynton Marsalis thing, right? And so
you're talking about Skeins?
Skeins Domain or whatever, right?
But off
just
of J Mood.
What J Mood, exactly. What it took me down a rabbit hole was Kenny Kirkland, who's one of my favorite piano players, was in that band, and how he reacted to playing with Wynton and Tane and all those guys. He was the same way regardless. So, you know, I'll start going down a wormhole of, well, it's nice to have your own thing, you know, and even though you're playing with somebody like Skane, like Wynton, who was, if you know anything about Marsalis, they're highly opinionated.
Yeah.
And they will tell you exactly what they want you to play. So for him to navigate and play that, I'm just thinking this is the greatest thing since sliced bread, that he could be himself and stand up to the Marsalises, which is a whole different thing. And I think in a way they wanted that. It's like playing on a sports team. LeBron wants another guy who's going to make points and stuff. He doesn't want a person to always acquiesce to him. You know,
that's right.
So listening to that, I've been kind of immersed in that because we got a chart on it. The chart is not doing the song justice at all. So I'm like getting away from the chart and immersing it. So, but that's what I was listening to.
Okay. I've been checking out an album I hipped you to in the car one day, which is Jeremy Pelt's Tomorrow.
Oh yeah.
Is let me get the title right.
Yeah, that's killing.
For his new record, Jeremy Pelt, trumpet player. Tomorrow's Another Day. So I was right. I mean, man, if this album doesn't win a Grammy, I think it was released 2023, 2024, but it's a brand new recording. He's got a vibes player on there. 2 different drummers, one cat that kind of does more straight ahead, and then my brother from Noonan, Georgia, D'Anthony Parks, who's a great friend of mine. I've known him since he was in high school. Who's a genius, who is more, I don't even know what to call his style. They used to call him the godfather of New York drum and bass. That's how bad he was, because he invented a lot of what you hear live with cats trying to play like jungle and drum and bass stuff. He's really the whole like beginning of live drum playing. But yeah, this is the record. Tomorrow's Another Day. Just incredible recording, man. The compositions, the playing.
Wow, man.
He's in Noonan? Really, D'Anthony Parks is from Noonan, is one of the drummers that's on the record.
Okay. Wow.
And it's super hip. The other cat, I can't remember his name, playing more straight ahead stuff, but it's a great mix of modern, history with the swing thing, and then just really a fresh approach to the genre that we call jazz. I guess that's just because there's not another name for it. But I highly recommend this record if you want something different to listen to, something that's new but also has a lot of history and and where the music really comes from. So I highly recommend that record, man.
Nice,
so,
man.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, Tyrone already kind of touched on this one. He said what he's kind of working on. What are you working on these days, Mr. Blackwell, and you're playing?
It just, trying not to suck. Full-time job, man. Man, dude, I've got, some recording gear here, and every day I try to write a little something, and if it's a minute, if it's 2 minutes, I write it. It started out like I was trying to do.
Why are you shaking your head, bro? He's in deep thought.
This is a perfect example. I called Blackwell up. I said, "Hey, man, it's long time ago."
Man,
I said, "Man,
oh, here we go,
dude. I need some recording stuff, whatever." So, hey, man, got some stuff, man, and I just been so busy, man. Then the pandemic hits.
Yeah,
kudos to him, though.
Yeah,
take the next step. Got some stuff. Trammell hook your boy up. Now he's recording. But I've been telling this cat about recording.
Well, guess who don't need me anymore, though, now that I do have some stuff? Phone ain't been ringing. I know it's Tyrone not calling.
Well, see how much you know? I haven't been hitting nobody up for past 4 years. I've been occupied, brother.
At least it ain't just me then.
Right. No, it's not.
But man, so that's, to answer I do try to write a little something, and it doesn't have to be, man, I could go down the wormhole on the Instagram stuff and all that, but I'll save that for another. But that's it, man. Learning more about, I've always been, I've done a lot of session stuff through the years, but I've always just showed up with the guitars and the amp and all that and let the, so man, learning about the other side, being on the other side of the glass has been an interesting thing for me. Getting to experiment with getting different tones in the studio, like having, I've got a pretty good set. I got some good preamps. I've got a little amp ISO room. I've got like all kind of stuff. It just sitting here, and I'm constantly just messing with this, different mics, different pedals, different preamps.
You got it now. You got it now, Jack. I ain't gonna lie. Yeah.
Well, man, it's been great to have that freedom, and you take the last 31-minute things that I've recorded. There might be 3 of them in there that you're like, oh man, that could be something. That could be a song.
Right.
So I look at it. I do it every day because I realize that this is a muscle, just like playing, and I want to exercise it. And so what I try to do, I know this is a long answer to should have been a shorter answer, but the guitar practice is kind of wrapped up in that, because I'll try to write something with some changes, and then force myself to play over it musically and record it and make it sound good. So it's like, that's kind of the thing. My practice now is all wrapped up within, the chords, the playing and recording it and making it sound good. I look at it all as one kind of thing. And it's been cool, man. It's been cool.
And I got on Burroughs too about the recording thing too. He's gonna step up too, Blackwell. So
we should already have 3 records made between us.
I know.
You better look alive, Burroughs. What is this?
I'm just listening. I mean, I'm totally.
If I've beat you to the punch, your ass is way behind. I live in ball ground, man.
That's true.
Put some Reese's peanut butter cups on his Pro Tools.
No, but the thing is, I got stuff in the can though. That's waiting.
Well, all right. Well,
so it's I got stuff in the can.
What are you working on, Chief?
What am I working on? Oh, well, so I can't give some of that up because I told you about a little bit of it yesterday.
What are we, Chris?
What is this?
No, well, I got some.
You goddamn Fort Knox.
I don't want. I don't want to say.
Exactly.
I said some of it. Some of it.
You got the code to Fort Knox back there.
I might. Sometimes you stuff. First of all, I want to see if it comes through first, because if I say it and then it doesn't connect, then I'm out there.
That's smart play. Yeah.
Well, you working, but you're working on something.
Oh, yes. I hit.
It's so am I then. I can't talk about it, but I'm working. I got it.
I didn't say all of it. I said some.
Right. The CIA is monitoring my phone.
I gotta wait. I'm waiting to see if it's what I really think it is first. If it is,
I would say, but I'm afraid people would rappel down from the ceiling if I let it out. I'd have SWAT team knocking.
This is what it's like to be in a field band, man. It's like, I mean, you are open. It's open season. Open season.
Yeah, unlike that record you work.
No, I mean, I'm always immersed in basics. The basic stuff, man. I always. I just am at a point where I just don't like anything I'm playing. So,
oh man,
you hear things back, man. It's like, oh my, you know what? When you hit that, you're kind of like, that ain't it, man.
I do know that. I know it
that ain't it. Now, one thing that Chris and I, we've been fortunate enough to be able to play the Steely Dan song Asia on a semi-regular basis now. Yeah. That was a one tune that I always wanted to master. And now it's getting to a point to where I'm not thinking about it. I haven't, I'm not totally, because I want to I'm starting to kind of bring myself a little bit to it. I want to be able to honor what the great Steve Gadd did. But also bring myself to it, like Keith has been able to do. Obviously, he's been playing the song for 20 years every night now. It's at this point, but I want to be able to say, okay, this is how I would play it, or this is how I interpret this tune. And that's a hell of a tune, man. I mean, it really is. And the saving grace was when I heard that they actually pieced it together, because I was like, God. Right. That made me feel a lot, which there's a lot of tunes like that, man. Yeah. That we think, man, these cats cut this. Oh yeah, they cut that live, man. That was like one take. It's like, what? It's like, no, man. So
it's 80 takes and it's cut together. Yeah.
So Chris went down the rabbit hole, found all of these these takes on and heard different versions where it's not happening on, right. So, and I think that's important to hear those things, because I remember when I heard demos from when Prince did the Gold Experience, where Michael Bland, his drummer, he is blazing on this record. And there's this one tune where he plays basically kind of like a drum solo thing, kind of over these hits at the beginning of the tune, and then they kind of break it down into this almost kind of like ballad thing. It's brilliant. I was like, man, how long did they work on this thing? I got the rehearsal. Man, they were messing that junk up all over the place. So it's cool to hear that stuff, man. You know, the Headhunter stuff Tyrone and I talked about, man, Chameleon, man, that's all pieced together, man. They didn't play that junk. There's no way.
Yeah.
You know?
Zonal, was famous for that. They'd just go in there and record forever, and then he would edit it to get,
Right. So that's always cool, but that's what's up with that, man. So cool, man. All right, so we got one more for you. We made one or two.
Oh God, would you?
This is a Jackson question that we're going to actually start. We're going to start using this one a lot more because I think it's an interesting question. So
I'm already nervous.
Okay, you want to say it? You want to say it, T?
No, you got a scenario for him.
Well, we're gonna use the same one that you used on Mr. Gross.
All right, give it to him. I want to see his face.
All right. So, would you rather?
Okay.
Play a gig for $500 with the sorriest cats you've ever heard. 4-hour gig. I know ain't no one set. 4-hour gig.
Are there breaks?
But five bills. Yeah, we give you. Yeah,
you got a 10-minute break to think about what happened. You got a 10-minute break to think about what happens in between the.
Or would you rather play a gig with no money with all the baddest cats that you could think about? And which one would you rather do?
Well, it's clearly the second one because I have done the first one. And we ended Footprints on a C major 7.
What if it was $10,000?
Oh no, man! It's still the second one. It's still the second one, man. I'm there to play, man. I'm there to play. And that's one of them things that I have to keep straight in my mind. It's like I've got a house, I've got a kid, I've got a car, I've got to make money. But at the end of the day, man, I'm still there to play music. I mean, it's why I lug 2 amps to the tin roof and do all this crap. It's because I want to sound good. I want to play with the best guys that I can play with. I want to be the worst one. And I'm still there to be part of music. And dude, you play one gig where you get off the ground a little bit and you feel like you've played some shit.
Right.
That'll get you through the next 10.
It's crazy how that works, doesn't it?
Yeah, man.
Hey, I got a would you rather. Would you rather play with a drummer that rushes or a drummer that drags?
Ooh.
What if you got one that does both and fills the freezer full of Reese's cups?
Oh!
What is it?
No, I mean,
don't get me started, bro. There'll be a truck. There'll be a dump truck coming, man. The ball ground.
You're gonna have me in the hospital, man.
You gotta choose one, bro.
With somebody that rushes or drags.
Right.
That's a great one.
Man, that's rough. I guess I'd rather play with someone that rushes, man, because I think like guitar being essentially like percussion instrument at its essential role, like trying to play good rhythm that's good and in time and in the pocket. Like if somebody's dragging, it physically, like it hurts at the end of a night when you've just been, please God, can we groove? I hope you die. So man, at least if somebody's rushing, at least you can kind of,
there might be energy.
Catch up to them,
right.
Like it's something you might be fast, but man, that dragon, man, that is like, woo, man, I can't. I'd rather take a gasoline enema.
There's some ball ground for you.
Yeah,
you got a million of them too, man. He's been light on the the quotes tonight.
Oh, wow.
But we've tried not to get him too started, man.
Right.
Well, listen, brother, we've enjoyed our time. We're at 2:10, man. It's just, it goes, man. It literally,
go. Yeah, man,
so
I was worried I was going to be a dud. Not have anything
never.
to talk about, man.
Never.
Yeah, and there's so much stuff that we didn't even get to, man.
Right.
That but we'll get you back on, and
I love you guys, man. And
same, bro.
I appreciate the hang and the musicianship and all that. And here's much more of it in the future.
Yeah, bro.
Tomorrow night with you, Burroughs.
Yeah, man. So that's another thing is we always like if one of us are out, we're always on each other about like, oh, I see you're out tonight, or see you came the gig that you come back. Oh, you decided to come back.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
must
good.
Be nice. Just decide not to do a gig. You know, is that how the big boys do it?
I'm telling you, man, that being in that band is it's not for the faint at heart, bro. You get it every day, about something, man.
Yeah, man.
So.
Well,
all right. So yeah, man. Well, thank you, brother. And
thank you guys.
if you check my man out on Instagram, C Black. What is it? C Black
781.
C Black 781 on his Instagram.
Got a myriad of YouTube tutorial videos and plans. So check him out on that.
Yeah, I got all that. Trying to stay alive.
Well, that's another thing because we'll get your input, but we're gonna talk about the impact or the dangers of, because we all have online presence on some levels, and we're all into that, but the dangers of these kids only learning from online stuff.
Yeah, man.
And
I was thinking about today, would Herbie Hancock, like, would we know who he was today if, like those guys didn't have to be great players and also make great content. That's like part of the thing now. It's like the next Chick Corea's out there playing, but he don't know how to make a good Instagram video, so we'll never know about him.
Right.
That's something to think about.
Right.
But
that's right.
We'll say that.
And the ones that do know how to make videos, they get Benny Hill overdubbed to their stuff. So because that's what they sound like.
Hey,
so anyway,
Blackwell, real quick, somebody's asking about your recordings, but you do have a couple of recordings out, don't you? You have a CD out?
I have a single out. It's I did an instrumental version of Steve Winwood's song "Higher Love." Put it out on the smooth jazz stations and all that. It done okay, but that one's out there. It's on YouTube. If you could search mine at Cris Blackwell "Higher Love," and Cris Blackwell guitar might get you somewhere on some other stuff I've played on. But that's the only thing that I've released under my own name, so far. But I've got an Instagram page full of me playing if anybody wants to be subjected to that. So check me out over there.
All right, brother. All right, sounds good, man. All right, I will see you tomorrow night at the Tin Roof Cantina in Atlanta for another all request night of Mike B.
Yeah, man. And Tyrone, come through, man. I love it when you come through there, man. Please come by.
Sneak in, man. I'll sneak in.
Okay.
All right, my man.
See you guys
tomorrow. Okay, man.
Right. Peace.
Right.
Man, cool cat, man. That's a good cat, bro.
Man, we didn't even. I mean, it's
got so much, man. We haven't scratched the surface with this cat. He was on his best behavior tonight too.
I know. I was trying to get him. A little started, man. But you
saw that face for Joe Bonamassa though. I couldn't wait.
Man, he was waiting to unleash it too, but I could see like he was, like you said, he was on good behavior.
Right.
He was on good behavior. Well, but yeah, man, Blackwell is one of the just really great cats in the industry too. I mean, he my first time when I went to Key West, man, I mean, he just, I'd never been down there or done anything. And he was like, just had my back like the whole time. So, all right, man. So great. Yes. So this is the flyer for the Robert Boone birthday celebration that we will be broadcasting live from next Tuesday at the Red Light Cafe. Doors at 7, 8 p.m. show. How this cat gonna charge, bruh? He gonna charge for his supposed to be a bird, man.
I mean,
gonna have cats bringing gifts and he gonna charge money. Talk to him about that, man.
Man, he's got to get into the venue, bro. I'm not mad at him for that.
Okay, that's true, I guess. Yeah, you got to pay those pesky. Well, I don't know what I don't even know. I've only played a couple. Well, I've only played a couple gigs there, and I don't really know what the, So yeah, so you're right. There could be a production fee, so I don't know that. So that's right. But that's next Tuesday, and we're just going to be winging it. We'll see what happens. It'll be our first time on the road, but we want to do more of that. So this would be a good, a little tester to
right.
To kind
of man, question: Can we play a YouTube live feed while we're doing our thing? Because if
we're gonna have to find out. Well, yeah, but we're gonna have to find out. We can
just pull up into it rather than us trying to set up our own thing. So if he's doing a YouTube feed, we can always maybe tap into that. So,
well, we can't. You'd have to, because they're gonna have the sound on for the show for the show.
Yeah, but we won't be active when they're playing. Like we could always just broadcast it from certain points, whatever.
Well, I was thinking we were going to be talking to. I was thinking we were going to be talking while the stuff is going.
Oh, we definitely will. But if anybody want to hear the purity of the sound, they'll just be hearing like the atmospheric sound from when we're talking. But
we're not gonna. Well, right. So and that's what we got to figure out is how isolated are we from the music now?
Yeah, I'll be out there tomorrow. I'll try it out. Maybe. I'll see.
Well, how you gonna try it out? You're gonna have to go through Stream. You gonna have your StreamYard on?
Yeah, I'll go up to StreamYard. I gotta get some piano players to sit in. I'll go up there to the top and.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, there's because the settings has the whatever they take the background.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Whatever. So
if anybody's listening, if anybody's listening on here and got some suggestions, I'll be sure to try it out tomorrow.
We'll figure it out.
What about we had a good producer tonight? What about our producer, man?
Yeah, man. Falgu, behind the scenes. We appreciate you for all you're doing. And we got to take this cat to dinner and, buy him a chicken wing or something.
Man, get him a scatter smothered covered diced at Waffle House.
That might be a spot.
The next day.
It might be a spot. So real quick, we do want to shout out one of the legends that has left us. One of the all-time cool cats, man. That I guess I used to have this cat's poster on the wall, man, in 1977, I think.
You're a Trailblazers fan?
Well, you're just kind of a fan of whoever the great players are.
Okay.
From any, you're into all. I was into all sports, right? So I had Dr. J. I had, Walter Payton. I had, whoever, Ozzie Smith or whoever, baseball, whatever, But this cat, man, talking about the late great Bill Walton, who we just lost to prostate cancer. Didn't even know. One of the cool cats, music lover, just one of those guys, free spirit, and played the game hard, played the game his way. And I loved him as a broadcaster. I don't know about you, but I really loved him as a broadcaster. And then just his overall humanity, I thought was special because he was just a hippie, man. He was a hit, and he never left that culture, that state of mind, that all of what they down with the man and all. He was down, man. He was down.
Right.
Bill Walton was down.
And I think it was colon cancer he died of, not prostate cancer.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Colon cancer.
Yeah.
But shout out to Bill, the great Bill Walton, his family. I know his son played in the league for a little while too.
Luke Walton, and coaching and stuff too.
And coaching, right, as well. So
he had chronic foot issues, man, but still found a way to play through it, and won 2 championships with UCLA. I believe he had like a unheard of stat. He was like in a tournament against Memphis. He was like 21 of 22 for 44 points. Just an insane stat line,
Wow. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So shout out. Bring that one with the knee brace back.
You can might as well bring Podhorse's picture up if you want.
Well, that's what because I was looking at the knee brace, and there you go. Yeah, that's a good shot. Look at the legs, man. Podhorser. He patterned. He patterned his look with the shorts. Look at that. Had the shorts, had the knee brace band, and everything taped up.
Right.
Just a warrior on the court.
Podhorser was a warrior, bro.
Podhorser was at the JCC. Bill Walton was in the NBA, but it's close.
Podhorser had a secret weapon in the in his knee brace, bro. Like Mid-South Wrestling, bro. Had a foreign object. He had a foreign object in his knee brace, bro.
But
look at Mark said only pattern after the best.
Let's kind of break it down. The White Cats had to have somebody. The brothers had their cat. Who was at that time 70. That was probably was Dr. J is.
Yeah, Dr. J.
He's not in the NBA at that time. He's still in
ABA. He was in the ABA.
In the ABA, right?
Yeah.
70, maybe 70s. I don't know. I'm getting my years crossed up. Right. But we had Wilt and Bill, all these different cats, man. So Walton was really
they merged in 1976.
Okay, so we're right around there. Okay, yeah. But Walton, he was a man of the people, man.
Yeah,
regardless of what color you were, on
Well, he fought for a lot of rights for African Americans too.
No doubt, man. No doubt. So with that, we really appreciate you guys. We still got some people in here. We've trying to figure this thing out because it's still. I'm looking at the feed and it's like.
Yeah, mine never.
It's not going to, so we gotta send these people a little note and see what's going on, because I know that there's a lot more people that.
Jerry Lee.
What's up, Jerry? How you doing, man? So thank you to everybody in the chat. Brad, Sigwell, Becky.
Yeah.
Some new people. Brad, of course.
Russ Rogers sighting.
Yeah, man. Russ, that was actually where I met Russ, was at the club that Chris was talking about called Fuzzies.
Okay.
That was where I first met Russ Rogers, man. Was at Fuzzies. I can't remember who he was playing with, but anyway, Fuzzies was a cool spot, man. John, Neil, see, I miss anybody else? Diane, John Chalden. Chalden had a little comment. I forgot this. Speaking of our guest, Cris Blackwell, says I've thrown everything and the kitchen sink at Chris multiple times. A lot of difficult stuff. He's always totally prepared, great attitude, nailed everything. Consummate pro. So
got Perlette Hodge.
Was Pearl in the chat?
Yeah.
Pearl was in the chat, y'all. Our favorite I don't want to say nothing out of pocket. What are they called now? Server? Can you call them? So I don't want to say she helps us get our food at a certain
She's attentive to us in ways that other people are not. She's
she's service technician. Service technician at Napoleon's.
Yeah, it takes care of us.
Lopes.
I haven't seen that cat in a long time. Love Lopes.
I just saw him this past week at playing with Michael and Coming. He was on the game.
Okay, cool. Wow.
So yeah. But thank you guys for all your support.
Rich was there. Don't forget about Rich.
Rich. Yes, Rich. Saw Rich last night.
Yeah, cool cat.
Rich was at the
jam session.
And, yeah, man. So I think that's going to be about it, brother.
Yeah.
Unless you got anything? Are you at Red Light tomorrow?
I am.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'll do a little.
And then and then we've got a couple gigs, but they're private, right? We got private gigs.
Yeah.
Thursday and Sunday with Paul Fisher. So. All right. So subscribe to the channel on YouTube. Set your notification bell so you know when we go live. We are working on another. Hopefully, we're going to have another episode of Deep Vinyl. It's probably going to be a daytime show this week. Schedules are kind of crazy, so we may be on Friday at 12 noon. That's what we're kind of leaning towards right now, but we'll send out obviously a notification of when we're going to be on, and talk about some more great records, man, with Lamar Clay.
Nice.
But it's crazy because when he's on, all the traffic is on his side. Yeah, something's up, bro. I don't know. Something's up.
We'll figure it out, man.
Yeah, we'll figure it out, man. So with that, thank you guys. Big ups to our producer, B. Falgu.
Yes.
And all of you, thank you for your support. And we will see you guys next week. Peace.